Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started, only because our time is very short, and just want to give you as much as I can in the hour I got. So, my name is Duane Kavanaugh. I'm the Director of Behavioral Health Services for Lutheran Social Services of South Dakota. So I oversee the counseling programs that we have across the state. So in preparing for this presentation today, they said, yeah, we're going to do this Ag Summit. And I said, that sounds great. I'd love to do it. And they said, we're going to have producers, we're going to have counselors. And I went, how do you prepare something for such a diverse group? So for me, how many people in here are like mental health counselors, school counselors, just work in the field, okay? How many producers? Okay, how many people just wandered in and didn't know else why? They just came in because there was Rice Krispie bars in the opening. Okay, good. All right. Couple of things before I get started. I really prefer this to be an interactive process. I will warn you, I was a university instructor as an adjunct for about 18 years. So if you give me an amount of time to fill it up with, I will talk, and I will keep talking. I always knew class was over because they got up and left. It had nothing to do with what I was at. They just left the room. I have a very dark sense of humor. Very dark. I went to Manchester by the Sea. There was always like one person in that movie that always laughed. It was me and my son. There was a point that the producer said that we put that in. It was comic relief. Anybody see that movie? Unless you want to bawl, do not go to that movie. Horrible, sad, sad movie. Okay. Again, if you don't talk, I will, and I want this to be interactive. Stress. Anybody got any stress? Okay. Stress is a normal part of life. It comes with many aspects of what we do. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about these things, so I want to practice some relaxation techniques with you. But I want you to, and now you have to bear with me because the science behind this little piece doesn't work real well, because you're going to say, man didn't grow up the same time dinosaurs do, but if you'll just bear with me, it'll work. I want you to imagine you're out on the Serengeti, you're out on the plain, and all of a sudden you notice Mr. Dinosaur is chasing you. What's going to happen before he eats you? What's going to happen before he eats you? Fight or flight. What's going to happen to you? What's your body going to do? Have anxiety. It's going to be slightly stressed, moderately stressed, overwhelming stress. Okay, overwhelming stress, high stress. Our eyes are going to dilate. Depending on which part of our sympathetic, parasympathetic systems kick in, our body's going to do all kinds of things, including dump huge amounts of adrenaline and norepinephrine. Your body's going to go, what is your body going to say if it were speaking out loud? Holy shit. It's exactly, and to be real honest, it might actually do that as well, depending, again, which part of the systems kick in. This is normal. This is normal. This is a normal reaction. We call it a normal reaction to a normal stressor. What's wrong with our system today is we have a normal reaction to an abnormal stressor. It is not normal for us to freak out about not having a report done. Our body should not react as if we're going to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. But does our body not? I'm going to pick on my friends from BMS over here. Ever feel like you're going to be eaten like a saber-toothed tiger if you don't get something into the state? When they say, but gee, what's that program? STARS, if you don't work for the STARS program apparently aligns the stars, and if it doesn't work, the whole universe will stop operating. At least don't tell them I said that, but that's the way that they seem to act. What's that? The world collapses. Once a month, the world collapses because we didn't get something into stars. Anybody else know about stars? Yeah, okay. Have that same reaction? Oh, yeah. And we do. Our heart starts racing, we get upset, and I love it when the support staff come to me and they're just freaking out, and I'm liking, my favorite comment to people when they're really stressed is, did the sun stop shining? Has the earth stopped revolving? Because up until then, we're probably okay. We're probably not going to die. But we do have these definitions. There's really not a great definition of stress. But the one I like here is a popular definition of stress is a condition or feeling experienced when a person perceives the demands exceeding the personal or social resources the individual is able to mobilize. How many have that feeling on a weekly basis? Just don't have enough resources. Daily basis? Hourly basis? There are periods of the day, seriously, some days, and I'll pick on Randy or some of the other ones in the mental health field, if the school calls and all hell's breaking loose with some kid, and you're looking and going, I got nothing. Every therapist is gone, everybody's out, and you're going, I've got to do this in 20 minutes. But we sometimes do have those feelings. We just don't have the resources available. Now, if we take that out into the real world, out beyond us, what do our clients, what do producers deal with? Do you have any impact if somebody decides to raise the... by the way, if you don't agree with my political beliefs, you can tell me afterwards. If you don't like the tariffs that get raised, do you have any input into that? What's that? He really enjoyed me today, by the way. I was kind of drilling away at a couple of points like, why aren't they passing the mental health bill so counselors can bill Medicare and see more clients? And he clearly didn't have a clue what I was talking about, which, yeah, to say the least, I was enjoying myself, okay? I did at one point say, you understand there's no way you're going to win this argument. There's just no place to go. Again, I'm not going to go through all these, but if we look at that, definitions, there we go. We're going to talk about 4 different kinds of stress. So we have the acute stress, the fight or flight response. The dinosaur's chasing you, you are going to do what? If you're smart, you're going to try and flee, because if you try to fight a dinosaur, what's going to happen? You're going to lose. I just didn't end the story. If you took Psych 101, they told you about the fight or flight response. I disagree with that. I believe it is the flight or fight response. I truly believe if you look at most organisms, when forced into a situation, will try to flee first. What are the exceptions to that rule? A mother with her cubs, babies, they will fight first then if they can't flee. I had a wolf dog, and I used to have kids who say, it's instinct to fight back. I said, really? I said, I have a wolf dog. What do you think she does when I scold her? She attacks you. I said, she crawls under the deck when I scold her. She's like, oh, God, I'm sorry. Okay? Chronic stress. These are the things that we're going to go, and some of these are really tough to deal with. Chronic strips. That didn't work so good, did it? Come on, you'll get there. There we go. Chronic stress. Bills, kids, jobs, those things that just don't go away. For some reason, after you have children, they seem to think they have to stick around for 18, 20 years. My daughter calls a week ago, Wednesday, after the tornado to say, Dad, there's water coming in the house. She lives in Sioux Falls. I live in Rapid. Go sleep in another room, call me in the morning. But there are those kind of things that happen. Now, her husband has a slight bit of anxiety. Please don't let him watch this. He has a slight bit of anxiety. She called me the next day about how he's freaking out that the house was falling apart, never going to be able to make it, and said, I'm pretty sure water got shoved through a vent at 130 miles an hour. That's why you got water coming in your house. Your house is fine. Left uncontrolled, what happens to our bodies? What happens to our immune systems? When stress is uncontrolled, what happens? It gets challenged, and it literally will overwhelm it. If you do not find a way to get rid of these stressors in your life, they will wear you down. Again, and picking on my mental health friends, there are times of the year we get wore down. February, March, if you're in the children's services, when the school year's going crazy. I mean, I made a joke the other day at a meeting. I said, I think I could solve all youth problems in the world. It's don't start school. I mean, everything was fine over the summer until school started, okay? We have eurist, I can never say that word, happy stresses. Anybody get married? Find it to be an enjoyable time? What's that? If you elope, I think that's the best marriage because there's just this giant amount of stress around this. Is it going to work? Is it going to rain? What if it does rain? Well, if it rains, everybody gets wet. What do we do? And my son-in-law, who literally just said, we're getting married outside in the hills. They said, but it might rain. What if? And he said, if it rains, they should bring an umbrella. I went, good for you. Okay, graduations, new friends, these bring stressors. These can be stressors that release some stress, but again, not in balance. They're not very good for us. And then we have distress. Divorce, punishment, injury, negative feelings, financial problems, work difficulties. Nobody deals with any of these, right? Everybody has all the money you need, never been injured. Okay? Good for you. So what happens to our systems? And I'm not going to go through all this. Dr. Roseman kind of talked a little bit about this morning, but a lot of our systems become overwhelmed. If you really want to screw up your body, get really, really stressed. If you want to get diabetes, fastest way to do it, be overstressed. As somebody, there's two ways: be a nice, heavy white guy, and then overstress your systems. Okay, but you can get heart disease, stress release. Excuse me, I'm going to jump ahead here. Here we go. High blood pressure, stomach aches, low sex drive. Anybody deal with clients or ever had that situation where life is just so stressed out that something that makes us feel good, we're like, I don't care. By the way, when I have men come in or women come in, and this is what they're telling me, did I do that again? I did, didn't I? Yep. And they're telling me that their sex drive is gone, I'm really concerned, unless they're about 95 years old, because that is a lot of stress when you think about it. I will tell you, fertility problems for women, fertility problems. My wife and I, she was in a job, really stressful job. They weren't treating her very well. We were trying to get pregnant, just couldn't get pregnant. Leaves that job, which is a nice way of saying they sent her packing. Gets another job like 2 weeks later, and she's pregnant 2 weeks after that. You think stress had anything to do with the reason we couldn't get pregnant? Because we were doing everything, standing on your head, all that kind of stuff, making sure, by the way, if you want to make sex really unfun, I am at the right temperature. Could we do anything else to maybe, spice it? No, I'm at the right temperature now. I just didn't find that really attractive, okay? So, I want to be cognizant of the time here. Let me check. I have a video, if we have a few minutes, just something fun to kind of watch as far as what stress does to us. It's one of those fun where they draw on the thing the whole time. But you know what? I'm not going to do that because I don't have a mic and that will not work. So we're going to jump past that. From the current slide. I just realized we don't have a mic on this on here. So, okay. So what happens from stress? What happens to us? So this is actually, I went online and found an MRI of a brain. There's a brain scan fMRI of someone with PTSD. Does everybody know what PTSD is? Post-traumatic stress disorder. Does anybody not know what that means? Just quickly, is something major something has happened in your life that has caused you to be overstressed to be around us. Now, some people can go into war situations, walk out, be fine. Some of us with type A personalities, we run to those kinds of things and we just come out feeling great. Other people can have a minor life event and that can cause post-traumatic stress disorder. So when you hear people saying they have that, a lot of people will poo-poo it like they just can't handle stress. It's not true. It's really how we're able to handle stress, okay? But when you look at this, you look at the non-post-traumatic stress disorder, those blue kind of like spider-looking thing, that's kind of the blood flow vessels of your brain, just to pare it down really simply. If you look over at the PTSD end, look at all that red and green and lit up areas. It's because the brain's not relaxing. And if you ever deal with someone with PTSD, I'll pick on my friends, what are they always like as far as their vigilant level? Always on edge, always hypervigilant, always worried. Something bad's going to happen. Because if they let their tension down, what's going to happen? Bad things happen. And so they will perceive things as bad, even good things are potentially bad things. Now, for my producer friends, ever feel that way? I love Dr. Roseman's comments about the Germanic, because there's a lot of us up here. I'm Irish. If we're not drinking with you, what are we doing? We're fighting you. I mean, that's just what we do. We drink with you or we fight with you. That's kind of how we do it. But some parts of us, that's how, particularly when you think of the generational way we go at things, for farmers, you always have to be worried about what? The weather. What else? What's that? Everything. Crop prices, gas prices, will the bank loan come due? Will the bank go, there's just 1,000 things that we have to try and control for. And by the way, how many things can you control for? Almost none of them are within our control. Almost none of the things that will affect our lives do we have much control over. Again, when my staff in particular come in all freaked out, my first comment is, did the sun stop shining? Clients love that, by the way. When I say that to teenagers, they're like, what? Did the sun stop shining? I don't know what you mean. I said, well, you seem to think that the world is ending. And then, by the way, what do they say at that point? Because your face made me think of that. What do they say when I say that? Whatever. Yeah, whatever. Okay. But again, stress, chronic stress, and chronic stress to some degree to me is a bigger event. I think it's easier to deal with car accidents, things like that. As a therapist, I can work with clients on those kind of things because you can kind of work your way through that. But if it's always, okay, I've got paid and I have no money, or better yet, I got paid and I have less money than I did before I got paid because all the bills came due, and there's these constant stressors, these cause effects on the brain. Okay? So stress is not what happens to us, though. It really isn't what happened. It's not the event that happened. It's our response. What we do in response to it. Now, most of us are going to say, I don't have a lot of control over the things that happen to us. True. In some realms, we're not going to have some control over the response. If heaven forbid, I remember the farm crisis from the 80s and watching people's farms be sold out from underneath them. I mean, literally sold out from underneath them. I remember watching people in the area where I grew up being hauled off their farms because they were not going to leave. Okay. To some degree, though, we as human beings have to step back and say, I have no control over this at this point. It's done. I can't do anything more about it. If nothing else, I fought the good fight. Now, that's easy to say for somebody whose family farm is still in the family farm, and 3 years ago, the people we rented to it came to us and said, came to my dad, honest to God, and said, hey, by the way, the rent, and they were like, oh God, here it comes, he can't pay the rent. He says, I don't think I'm paying you enough anymore. And we're like, are you freaking kidding me? The guy is so honest, he has to tell us he doesn't think he's paying us enough rent anymore for the land. Okay? But how do we respond to this? So which statement best describes you up here? How many of you take a deep breath and say, move ahead? How many of you look at crisis as an opportunity for change? How many of you smile and say, oh well? Again, some of our responses are going to depend upon what's happening. How many of you get angry, vent at anyone who will listen? Just walk down the aisle and just literally vent to everyone. Some days, if something tells me we're in the same building, we'd be in each other's office a lot. Yeah. You guys should go for beers. I used to have a work wife, and we would literally had an agreement that like we would sit next to each other in meetings, and if something stupid came up, like we assumed was stupid, then we would sit next to each other, and then we, like if one guy started getting off, we'd just do this. Stop, just to keep each other under control. Okay? Cry and want to run and hide. How many criers and run and hiders do we have? Come on, there's got to be one of you out there. Nobody? You're all just facing it straight on. Okay, good. Resiliency. What is resiliency? It's right up there. Okay. Ability to withstand adverse events, stressful situations without falling apart by actively and positively coping with stress. Again, this is really easy to say for in the theoretical belief. I would say about 90% of the time I'm a fairly resilient person, but there are periods of the year, periods of the time, periods where I'm just like, I am done. I'm just done. I don't have anything else to give, and it's time to go on vacation. But resiliency really is a key piece to what makes people get through. It can help you get through that process. So again, even if you're in that position where I owe a lot of money, and I don't know, my crops didn't get in. People who are just resilient, who seem to be able to figure out how to go back and have that conversation with the bankers. By the way, do the bankers want to take everybody's land and farms away? No, it doesn't work out. It's kind of like the kid who comes into me and says, my teacher hates me and just wants to give me an F. Wow, I've never met a teacher who wants to give an F, ever. Never have I met a teacher who wants to do that. I remember giving a few for college students. That is the hardest thing in the world to do, to realize I just spent somebody's, back then, $1,500 per course. And you're going to get to do it again. My favorite was the kid who told me he was taking my course now because he'd taken the same course twice before, and he loved it so much better, and he was just loved the way I taught it, and I'm like, and you're failing again. Just not going to make it, dude. What was that? There was some other things with him, but so how does perception affect the way we cope? So we all are going to have stressors, right? How many get a bill and go, yay, an opportunity to pay more on my car? Nobody? If you get ahead, I got ahead on the last car I bought. I started making bigger payments, and all of a sudden I'd get the bill and it says, next payment, January 2020. And I'd write another check like, this is great. Because it was. I was like, I'm getting this paid off. I paid off like 6 months early. That's not always possible, but it can help. The event. Our thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions, though. Okay, that's that kind of idea of the glass is half empty, half full. How many half emptiers do we have? You can always tell the half emptiers, they do this. How many half fullers do we have? How many don't really know where they are? There's a few, maybe, I don't know. It depends on the day, okay? So our thoughts and assumptions and beliefs really do affect the way we go into things. The story this morning was really sad when you think about the fact that to some degree, his thoughts really had gotten to the point that nothing's going to ever be better, ever. And I'll tell you, as a mental health provider, and my friends who do this, you ever get scared letting that guy leave your office? Yeah, it's terrible. As an example of how stress can affect people, we think mental health people generally are pretty okay. What happened to the counselors who went out to New York after 9/11? What's that? They're not okay. Half of them quit. Half of them quit. They went out and listened to all the horrible things that they had to listen to and then just said, I can't do this anymore. So stress and how we perceive it really does have an impact. There is a point where no matter how much stress we put on you, I'll give you a physics problem. Any physics majors in here? Can a single straw, like a straw from a field, break a camel's back? Any guesses? Can a single straw, one piece of straw from the field, break a camel's back? Got a half? No, I don't think so in the back. Not by itself, but what? What's that?
Add enough of them together, it will.
You add enough of them together and it will. That's what stress does. It's not the straw. It's not the straw. It is all those straws over time weighing people down and not learning, and we're going to practice some things here in a little bit, not learning how to let go. To let go. So during the Depression, during the Holocaust, the Jewish people in Germany, which ones survived? What made them get out is the question I'm asking. What it really boiled down to was they would set a limit. It says, they come for my piano, they come for my mother's silver, they come for this, I'm out, I'm done, I'm leaving. Those are the ones, it's the piecemeal that kills us, the little just niches in our psychic armor that takes us out of us. The ones who said, they come for the piano, we're leaving. And when the Nazis showed them, said, that's it, no music for you, they packed their crap and moved and left the country. That's easier said than done if it's the family farm. It really is easier to say than done, okay? And then there's the physical response, the emotional and behavioral, how we respond. So again, how we see a situation, do we see it as a challenge? Do we see it as something that we can tackle? It's something we can go after. For a lot of us in our jobs, we have to step back and say, you know what? I did this one time. I was a director of a residential program. If you've ever worked in a residential program, this was a building full of 18 children that nobody else wanted to have in their home. Literally. They were kids. We took kids that the state hospital threw out. Hey, you can't be here. You go to Dakota House. They'll take care of you. So they came to us. And one day I said to my wife, I think I'm done. She said, I can't believe you lasted that long. I said, I got to go. I got to step back from this. And I got out of the business. I got out of the administrative end of the business for a few years. See the situation as a problem, it's going to weigh at you. Okay? So again, some of the effects of stress emotionally often impacts our mood, causes us to be easily agitated, feel depressed, emotionally depleted. Just don't have it anymore. Cognitively, contributes to inability to concentrate on tasks at hand, forgetfulness. I will tell you, I know when I'm stressed because somebody will tell me, I told you this yesterday. I'm like, tell me again. Now, one of my colleagues and I have come to the belief that at our age, it is selective memory. It really wasn't that important for me to remember it. If it was, you would have helped me remember it better. I'm living with that because it feels better than I'm maybe stressed out. Behaviorally, may cause us to change our behaviors, overeating. Anybody here love to eat when you're stressed? And what do we eat? Chocolate, cookies, chips. My wife's a huge chipper. Oh my God, bags of cheese. What was that? Drive-through. Fattier, better, right? Burgers. Okay. How many, when they're really stressed, say, I'd like an apple? No. Carrot. I want a carrot. I'm stressed out. No carrot stressors? Why? Why do we tend to crave carbohydrates? And particularly, we crave carbohydrates. What's that? Instant spike in what? Dopamine, blood sugars, they all go up, and that feels good. I mean, let's face it. We go to Christmas and we eat that chocolate, we keep eating that fudge, and we're full, and we go, I can eat one more. And but we do it. And then what do? We just collapse. Our bodies just collapse. And for a short moment, feels great. Now, the perfect snack, though, to me, is a popcorn ball with M&Ms in it. Because you got the popcorn, you got some caramely something sticking it together, got some chocolate shoved in there, and I'm just going to crash there. I mean, that's like the perfect thing, right? You couldn't ask for those are all the things. Love popcorn. And then there's psychological. May cause us to have, physiological, muscle tension, gastrointestinal concerns. Anybody here, when they're really stressed, get diarrhea? Very common. Upset stomachs. Maybe can't eat. Okay? So, because I want to make sure I stay on task. Hang on. Because I told you I can keep talking. What do you do? What do you do to bust up stress? Anybody?
Walk away from whatever for a little bit.
Walk away. I mean, sometimes somebody says, how do you know when the day is over? I said, when there's nothing left on the calendar, I leave. What about all the stuff in the desk? It was there when I got here. Yeah. I have come to the belief over my years that somebody would say things like, well, this paperwork's really important. And then I'd find some form like from 3 months prior, and I went, this must have been really important because nobody came and asked for it. What do I do with that form? Throw it away. If it was that important, someone would have been screaming for it, and I just stick it away. That's not everything. I did find some forms that I signed like 2 weeks ago for some staff yesterday when I was packing, and I went, I probably should take these up front. Probably looking for those. But again, practice letting go. It is not that easy, but you can do it. And part of practice letting go is learning what you can let go of. There's some things we can't let go of, right? I'm sorry, Randy, I just didn't feel like coming in today. Just cancel all my appointments. Randy's going to say what for a day or so?
I think you need the time, Duane.
I think you need the time. How much time? I had a boss once who said, I think you should, I was in a bad mood. He says, I think you should spend I think you should spend till like 5 o'clock being pissed off. Enjoy the time. What did I have to do at 5 o'clock? Go on shift. She was really a good I learned a lot from her as a therapist. But yeah, I mean, there's some things we need to let go. You know what? This paperwork ain't getting done today. I mean, somebody can scream at me all they want. And again, if somebody comes into the office in tears, therapists are really, really bad about this, because if we have our choice between finishing this pile of paperwork and seeing the crying client, we're going to see the crying client. Which seems, my wife's like, she got used to it after about 6 years, like, why weren't you home on time? I said, sweetie, it's not like, oh, I'm sorry, your time is up, you'll have to stop crying, we'll talk next week. It doesn't work that way. You've had that happen, haven't you? Now she's like, now she has a job where she works as a mobile hygienist, so she's out on the reservation, and she doesn't get home on time, and I'm like, where were you? And she says, well, this happened and that. And I said, it's a lot different now, isn't it? And then she came home the other day and said, I don't know how you've done it. And I said, what do you mean? She says, I sit in my office. She has a second half of the job, but it's more of an educator piece where she has to organize and plan. She says, how did you sit and look at those goddamn computer screens hour after hour? And I said, that's why I hit golf balls. At the end of the day, I'm going to hit that little white ball. Breathe slowly and deeply. We're going to practice that here in a moment. And there's a reason why. Most of us in Western society do not know how to breathe. We all breathe up here. And we never move our diaphragm. We got to look good, right? Got to hold it in. We do not know how to breathe. And what ends up happening is we start breathing more shallowly and more quickly, which only decreases the oxygen in our bloodstream, which makes our anxiety go up, so we do more of it, and it's just a vicious cycle. Okay? Practice speaking more slowly than usual. As you can tell, I can speak very fast. I can speak very loudly. I have a son who has inherited this gene, and sometimes I have to just look at him and say, I have no idea where you've gone because I was lost a few miles back. Okay? Slow down. Use time management techniques. For me, I'm not real good at it, so I use support staff a lot. Organize this, plan this, do this, get this done for me. I had a support staff once, it was years ago, I went to schedule a doctor's appointment. I was up at the front, we used to have the big books. You guys remember the big books? She said, what are you doing? I said, I got to schedule a doctor's appointment. She said, no, let me take her. I said, no, this is personal, I'll do it. She said, you'll just screw it up and I'll have to fix it. Let me call and do it. I went, okay. I'm not going to argue with that, thinking, because you know what? The reason I'd gotten a support staff is I came back to my office one time and there were two families sitting there and I went, I suck at scheduling. And they both were there for me. Use time management. Go outside, take quick breaks. Just get up and leave. Anybody really good at this? I suck. I am really bad at this. Good. I am really bad. I mean, I'll look up, oh, what happened to the sun? It went away. Drink plenty of water. Eat small, helpful snacks. How many times a day should you eat? 6 to 7 is what most nutritionists will tell you. We eat 6 to 7 times, 3 times a day. We eat these massive amounts of food. We'd be better off to have littler amounts all through the day. If you have diabetes, you've learned this because we don't want our blood sugars doing this. We want them doing this. Okay? And for most of us, it's not what we eat, how much. It's really portion control. Check your posture. Huge thing for most of us. I finally got a chair that has a lumbar support. Best thing ever. I found this chair. It was an old chair in our office nobody was using. I went, oh, yeah, this is nice. And then it also reclines, which is really cool because like when it's nap time, it's perfect for that. Plan to reward yourself during the day. I do this. I mean, I'm not as good as I like to, but I'm really good during the summer. It's like, I'm going golfing at 5. I remember once getting a call from our Rise program. Could you come and assess this kid? It was like this time of year. I said, is it an emergency? What do you mean? Is he on fire? Is he? No. I said, he just needs to be assessed. I said, okay, I'll be over about 7. Okay. And I rolled in at 7 in my golf shoes and shorts. And where were you? I said, I went golfing. Why would you do that? I said, I can't see the ball at night, but I can assess this kid at night. And they looked at me like, there's something wrong with this guy. And I thought, you have no clue. Okay? So we're going to practice relaxing. Okay? What does relaxing do? It helps us to avoid becoming overstressed. You literally can teach your body to relax on its own. So when I was a young therapist, I was walking down the hall one day, and one of our senior support staff says to me, as I go up, she says, you sigh a lot. I'm like, what? I can hear you coming from around the corner. And then I got a little older and I realized that was my body saying, slow down, breathe. Sighing is my body's way of saying, I've got to calm down, I got to get some oxygen. Helps you calm your thoughts and productively work through stressful events. Enables you to end your day in a relaxing way. So we're going to practice some relaxation. For those of you on TV, sorry, you can practice at home. Okay? So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm just going to ask you to get in a comfortable position. And really the best position is kind of feet down, kind of in a, just a nice comfortable position. Hands probably on your thighs, just someplace you could be comfortable, okay? And what we're going to start with, is I'm going to have you close your eyes, and then we're going to practice breathing. Now, this is not breathing like you're just breathing. We're going to practice breathing. And what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in through your nose. I'm going to have you hold it, and I'm going to have you fill up your lungs. I'm going to have you fill them all the way up. I'm going to have you keep breathing in until you can't take any more in, and then we're going to hold it. And then I'll count to about 5, and then I'm going to ask you to breathe out, and you're going to breathe out like you're breathing through a straw. So it's going to look something like this. Ready? And you're going to blow it all out. Okay? Now, when you do this, I want you to really focus on how your chest feels and what your head feels like, particularly when you let that air out. Okay? So everybody ready? Eyes closed, hands down, breathe in. All the way in, as far as you can take it in, hold it in. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Okay, breathe in again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Out through the straw. Okay. Now this time when you relax, I want you to actually visualize the word relax in your head. As the air is going out, I want you to see that word relax blowing out from your mouth. Ready? Breathe in. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. See that relaxation. See that relaxing come out of you. Feel that tension go away. Allow your body just to relax. One more time. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. So that was 4 breaths. How do you feel? What do you feel? Anybody get a little lightheaded? I love that feeling. That's like whoa, yeah. Now, I used to tell my wife when I played football, I always knew the season officially started, when I hit somebody so hard that everything turned green and you did this for a second. That's that same feeling I got. This is a much healthier way of doing that, because what I was doing was a mini concussion. But I remember hitting just that final, you finally hit somebody so hard, and you just, whoa. What's happening in your brain as you feel that kind of whoa feeling? It's called oxygen, people. It's increasing the oxygen level in our bloodstream. We do not breathe. We do not know how to slow down. It's a Western society thing. It's not just Americans. If you look at any Western society, their levels of stress are significantly higher than third world countries. And these are people who don't have food. Their levels of stress are not as high as ours when it comes to these kind of things, which is kind of a sad statement. We do not know how to calm down, okay? You should do this how many times a day? Guess. What's that? As many as you need. I would say for most of us, 3 to 5 times a day. Just taking a couple of minutes, just kicking back in between appointments. You know, they say we're supposed to do our progress notes in that 10 minutes. Really? Can anybody here as a therapist and for those of you who aren't therapists, we work on a 50-minute hour, okay? So that means we see your client, we write our progress note, we go to the bathroom, we answer phone calls, we deal with whatever crisis came up, and then we say, hi, how are you? Come on in. What gets missed in there is we just don't do our progress notes. We're lucky we go to the bathroom and we start 5 minutes late for the next appointment, which means the next one's 5 minutes late. And by the end of the day, we're maybe a half hour late for our last appointment, or we've called ahead and said, don't just, or if it's your standing 5 o'clock, what time do they show up? 5:15, 5:20, because they already know you're not going to be on time. And usually they say, hey, it's good to see you, because they know, how was your day? How many of you have clients who take care of you when they come in? How are you doing today? Has it been a rough day today? Because they do. They know us as well as we know them. Okay? So the other part of this is we can do is some muscle relaxation. Okay? Now, how many, again, producers in the room? How many of you sit on a tractor for, especially during planting season, 12, 14, 16 hours in a day? And he's like, yeah, that's Tuesday. Then we do it again on Wednesday. How good is that for us? Therapists, how many of us sit in the chair 8, 10, 12 hours in a day, other than to get up to go to the bathroom, get the next client? Dr. Roseman this morning making a comment, it's terrible. It's just absolutely horrible on our bodies. But what you can do is you can do some relaxation. So again, find a comfortable position. And we're just going to start, I'm going to walk you through kind of some muscle relaxation techniques that you can do. Now, a couple of things. You have to be careful when doing this. If you are cramp prone, make sure you're in a position that you can do this. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Because it will happen. I've had that happen during relaxation with a client. It's nothing worse than having them really calm and you're doing the relaxation with them and you're like, oh, geez. And just keep breathing. Just breathe. Because I've got this giant cramp going on in my calf. The worst one, and if you've ever been like cramp prone, what's the worst one is the one in the back of the thigh. Because there's no, other than getting up and do it, there's just no way to stretch that one out. Okay? So, sitting comfortably, we're going to start at your feet. What I want you to do is we're going to start with a couple of breaths. I want you to envision the silhouette of your body. Okay? I want you to have a white screen kind of in your mind, and the silhouette of your black body against this white screen. Okay? So I want you to envision your body. Can you see your body there? Against a white screen. Your body is tense, black, stressed out. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with our feet. And you're going to make a ball with your feet. You're going to squeeze your feet together. And you're going to try and squeeze them like you're making a fist with your feet. Ready? Breathe in. Clench your feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. And just feel that tension as it leaves your feet. Breathe in again. Do it again on your feet. One more time. Breathe in. Clench. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And relax. And each time you relax, I want you to notice how it feels to let that tension go. Now we're going to do your calves and your feet together. So we're going to clench them all together. Ready? Breathe in. And clench. Clench your calves and your feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. This time we're going to do your thighs, your calves, and your feet all together. Okay, you can just best way to do that one is just jam your heels right into the floor. Just as hard as you can, making a fist with your feet. Ready? Breathe in. Tense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. We're going to do that one more time. There's a big bunch of muscles there. Breathe in. Tense. Tighten them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. With your eyes closed, I want you just to envision that silhouette of your body now, and from your feet up to your knees, up to your thighs, as the tension lifting, moving up out of there, up into your upper body. We're releasing that energy. We're allowing ourselves to relax. Okay? Now we're going to tighten everything up, including our pelvis. Breathe in. Tense. Tighten up them buttocks, thighs, calves, feet. Just tighten them as tight as you can get them. And relax. Breathe in again. Tighten. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. Now we're going to do stomach. Tighten that up. Everything, stomach down, tighten it up. Breathe in. Tighten. Stomach, buttocks, glutes, thighs, calves, feet, and relax. One more time. Breathe in. Same group of muscles. Tighten them up. Tighten. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. Make sure each time you're taking in that deep, deep breath that's getting that oxygen into your system. Now we're going to do your pecs and your shoulders and your arms. We're just going to tighten everything from the neck down. Ready? Breathe in. Tighten it all up. Hold it tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice job. Some of you, I can literally see you just sitting up as you're stretching those muscles, pulling them tight. One more time. Breathe in. Hold it tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Notice that silhouette. Hopefully by now some of that stress is only up in your neck and chest, or up in neck and head. This time we're going to clench up our face muscles. With everything else, we're going to just clench every muscle in your body. We're going kind of quick, but I want to make sure you get a chance to do this. Clench everything in your body this time. Ready? Breathe in. Tighten it up. Let's see some scrunchy faces. Really scrunch it up. 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. Breathe in. Crunch it up. Scrunchy face, scrunchy face. 4, 5. Relax. Keep your eyes closed. Now I want you just to notice, how does your body feel? How does your mind feel? How do your thighs feel? Notice the change. If you've done this, you should notice, like, wow, that feels different, feels calmer. In your mind, in your brain, it may even feel a little bit like a rush from that extra oxygen being pumped into your system. Just enjoy this, because this is what we don't do. We don't give ourselves a chance to calm down. Most of us get up at the butt crack of dawn. We race to work, or we race the kids someplace, school, daycare, soccer practice, something. Race to work, race through the day, race home, got to be at the soccer field, got to be at the football field, gotta. Go home, maybe we cook supper. Most likely we grabbed it at McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell. Race home, do homework, if you know how to do your kids' homework. And somewhere around midnight, for many of you, collapse. And you get the joy of doing it all again tomorrow. Did you have this feeling at all during the day? And then we wonder why stress builds up. So how'd you feel? How does it feel? Just taking, by the way, that took us to do all three of those, both of those exercises, I'm going to say about 15 minutes. It's 4:18. How many times a day, a week, do you get that kind of feeling? So for my ag producer guy in the tractor, in 20 minutes planting, how many rounds would you make?
3.
3? So in the grand scheme of things, how many rounds are you going to make during planting season? Not a clue, right? If we took 3 a day and just said, yeah, I'm going to just take 20 minutes and relax. Or, I'm not going to book them every hour. I want to book them every hour and I've been trying to convince my therapist, every hour and 15 minutes. Give yourself a little more time in there. Yes, you might have to work a little longer during the day. Because we all have this belief, if I just cram them in, I can have Fridays off. How many therapists have that, that they don't work Fridays because they've crammed it all in the first 4 days of the week? I really wonder about those Thursday appointments. Don't know if I'd want to see you on a Thursday or a Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, probably okay. How many of you are taking time to relax? Wow, that's sad. How long did it take? Questions you have? Thoughts, comments? I love steaming hot. I used to say to college students, I love steaming hot rebuttals, bitches, whines, complaints. The freshmen, he said a bad word. You're a freshman in college now. I think you can handle it. Comments or thoughts you have? Let me ask you this. Why aren't you relaxing? don't have time.
I think it's a matter of making it a priority.
Yeah.
You just get so into your routine and what you need to do, you don't make it a priority yourself.
Yeah. We as therapists, I will pick on my therapy friends, okay? We really suck at this. We really do. Because we teach people you should do this, and we tell them that they should be willing to change, and they should practice these things, and then we walk right out and do exactly what our clients are doing. We do not do what we preach. And it's really funny is when your client says, "You look stressed." Well, you should probably do what you're teaching me. Get out. Just leave the money and leave. But there is a certain level of that in this society, in our modern society, I keep doing that, don't I? We are not taking the time to calm down. Even getting out of the tractor and just doing a few stretches, getting up out of the chair. A couple of my staff now, are a VP of accounting, have bought standing desks. Huge difference in your day as opposed to sitting all day, just getting up. There's been times I've got monitors I can lift up. If I got to read something, I'll just stand up and read it. It's like at least I can move around, stretch out. What happens if you don't? What happens to your muscles? What do they do to you? Nobody had that happen? Nobody's had it happen where right in the middle of the day for no good reason you got a cramp. That is your body saying, hey, you should take me out and use me for a while. I've had that happen, and it's not just because I was an athlete way too many years. It is your body saying it's time to do something, okay? Other questions or thoughts? So, go ahead.
This reminds me of a story I heard. One of the, I don't know what those three things are online, but anyways, I don't know if it was the ACA website where I heard this, but anyways, where a guy went down, it's a story, and he's like an investment banker or something like that, and he sees a guy fishing. And the guy comes in down in Mexico on the beach, and he has all these fish, and the investment guy sees an opportunity, says, if you went out and fished longer, you could catch more fish. And eventually invest that money into a fleet, and have a fleet of fishermen and boats and all this, and the guy says, well, what would be the point of that? What would be the point of working for all this wealth and working all these hours? And he goes, well, then you could retire, and you could use that money to go, then you could fish whenever you wanted to, spend time with your family and everything else. He goes, well, I already spend time with my family. And I think part of what you were saying is like we have this idea that we have to produce so much, and we kind of perceive it that way. It's a way of looking as being human doing instead of human being.
Yeah. I love that. I love human doing rather than human beings. One of the things I tell my staff is they'll come in and they'll be sweating about things, or clients. When did we start using time? When did a clock become a major force in American society? Historically, it had to do with the railroad so that you knew when the train would be there so you could get on it. Up until then, how did we operate? By the sun. The sun came up, you went to work. When the sun went down, you went home. It was time to be done. And you know what? In the summertime, I can get up at 4:30 in the morning in Rapid City because the sun is up. I can be on the golf course by 5:30. I can stay up till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Now the sun goes down, I'm done. I got to go to sleep. We have forced ourselves to judge ourselves by what we are producing and not by who we are. So I agree. I love that. I'm going to steal that, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't give the story justice, but
It was you did it just fine. So I challenge you as you leave is to think about, how am I doing for myself? And so I'll tell you one quick story that I heard years ago, and this is a little more for therapists, but there was a woman who, her father had passed away, and she was struggling with it, so she went to see a therapist. And the therapist asked her during the session, what do you remember of your dad? And she thought, and she said, my dad was a traveling salesman. He was gone a lot. He wasn't always home. But when he was home, every night we would stand in the kitchen and we'd eat an orange. And in the time it took to get the orange out of the refrigerator, peel it. If you're like my wife, it takes like 2 hours to peel an orange. Got to get all the little white things off and eat the orange. That was my time with him. And the therapist said, that's what you remember? She says, yeah, it wasn't, for me and my daughter, it's all the soccer trips we went on. I was the coach and drove her everywhere. It wasn't the games, it was the time. And so the therapist said, you remember that? She said, yeah, because if my brother came around, he sent him away. If mom interfered, she said, nope, this is our time. That was my time with my dad, to just spend doing one thing, and that was all I did. When's the last time, particularly for all of you, spent time just doing one thing and doing it really, really well, even if it's just doing nothing? How many of you do just nothing for 5 minutes a day, where you're not thinking about work, you're not thinking about egg prices, you just spend time for yourself? I challenge you. It's really kind of fun. My wife and I bought honest to God, an inflatable hot tub. Who'd think? We call it the cauldron. We go out there and we just sit in it. It's like, oh my God! And we live in the Black Hills, and so we sit on the edge of a canyon and we watch the turkey buzzards float around, and we just like, why didn't we do this sooner? Thank you. I appreciate your time.